we at Manchester United, we were going to win every game. And similarly with Wayne, he had an issues with Wayne, and we would have big discussions about Ronaldo because there was rumours around. We always felt that he would move probably to Madrid at some stage. 80 million payable up front in our bank account.
How close were we to getting Ronaldinho?
I didn't get a good vibe. If Barcelona hadn't been there, we'd have got them. Dave Brailsford's doing an audit at the moment with Jean-Claude Blanc. Brailsford has shown, albeit in slightly different sports, that he's a winner as well.
Mr. Woodward.
And I was available, but I think he wanted to plough his own furrow.
It's a 5 with 5, and you already know this.
Omar Berrada starts as the new CEO of Manchester United very soon. What is the first thing on his inbox that he needs to get sorted?
Firstly, I think it's a good idea they've appointed from outside. I think someone coming in with some new ideas and a new perspective, coming from clearly a very successful club. Yeah, the first thing that I got in, and I think you've seen it in some of the announcements, is to really, focus in with Dave Brailsford and whomever on that side is on the whole recruitment, scouting, negotiation side. To get that understand that, get a focus back on that, get that sort of hopefully working better to actually then deliver those players we've got. Because there's some great teams. They've just negotiated an extension of the Adidas deal. A superb deal they've done there, and they've got other sponsors coming in all the time. So that I think is working pretty well. But if you then ally that with a great team performance, it's going to go even better. What they're doing on areas like digital, I think is fine. So if I was coming in, my focus would be do an audit, what's gone wrong in the past, and how do we put it right? And once you've got that, you can then build it out and get that. Because if you look at it, and Rio would know through Carrington, or I walk around Old Trafford, there's so many people there. Every football club has people who've worked there for many, many years, love the club, and they want to get there. And they just need a bit of hope. They just need a bit of, aspiration, and they see that coming back. So that will then galvanise them into working, harder and more motivated. And, that's, to me, really what is needed. So that would be, if my intro, I would be doing that. And then basically getting back to the philosophy that, that we're sort of all one club. And for me, management is about, as a CEO, I would, it's treating everyone the same. As I can say throughout my career, I've seen people who can manage laterally and upwards, but the ability of a good manager is to manage downwards, to get on with people who are, doing it in the ticket office or in doing the electricity or all that work, and it's that sort of thing. And I think if you can get that in and show that sort of empathy, so to speak, with all the employees, he'll make a great start.
In 2004, you said that.
I didn't actually. This is no one has shown me.
Not another one you got wrong. Jesus, what's going on here?
No one showed me. But you're right. I'm quoted to that. I wouldn't say. No one's done that. And I remember seeing it. I think it was at Wolves actually. And put the debt is a road to ruin and said Gill. So we got a lot of grief over that.
Okay. But the debt Manchester United have had for the last 18 years under the Glazer ownership, that's been problematic. Would you agree?
I think the capital structure we went from a debt-free company or club to one with debt has been brought certain challenges. But what I would say is, and that, people don't necessarily believe Alex and I on this. And all the time we were there together with the Glazers from 2005 to 2013, they never ever said no on a player or anything like that. It didn't preclude us from spending money there. Now that's not to say, looking forward, the debt and the interest costs, clearly, have some implications or have some ramifications, yes. But all I can say is, whilst I didn't agree, I said I don't. No one can show me I ever said that. That's not to say I wouldn't have used it as part of a negotiation or part of the discussion around the takeover. That going from a debt-free club to a club with debt has some ramifications, has some issue. Well, I didn't say it was a road to ruin. I wouldn't have stayed if I felt it was a road to ruin. But nonetheless, we sort of, the Glazers, in my opinion, gave us what we wanted. Now that's not to say I haven't been around close to it, from 2013 onwards, but that's what it's at.
Does the debt, because the capital debt is more or less what it was in 2005, and the interest payments have been somewhere in the region of 1.6 billion in the last 18 years. That would be a whole squad of £100 million players potentially. Yeah. Do Ineos need to fix that first and foremost to move forward with the club?
Well, I think I think what Ineos need to do, which they are doing, is doing that audit and understanding what all the football structures and all of that. And I think if you get that right, you will be in a position whereby they can start to improve the performance on the pitch, get the returns in, and start to look at it. And the capital structure may or may not be within that. But certainly, I think, I wouldn't. The money's one side of it, and that capital structure, but the actual organisational structure and the people you got in those slots, in those positions, and how that's all worked out. So I was saying, well, how come we bought that player? Who looked at that player? What was the scouting? How did that all work out? Who negotiated it? And all those sort of things to be looked at.
Have you seen the reports recently that we valued the likes of Antony at different prices and still went with the? I think that's just sort of examples of what you was talking about, really.
Yeah, I think those questions got to be asked. To be honest, I don't know the answers. I've seen the reports, but I'm always slightly sceptical of what's written in papers on football. But I don't disagree with the point you're making, and I think that's to me, until you identify the problem and understand what's caused it, you haven't got a chance of fixing it. So hopefully that will happen, and they will be in a position whereby better decisions are made going forward. But it's never, it's Alex Ferguson made some, not so successful signings, but it's a portfolio approach, because it's not like buying a machine that is going to churn out so many cars per hour or whatever. It's, buying a human asset that, you think will fit into your team, but then it all comes down to personality, ability, this, that and the other. It doesn't always work out. So you've got to get more right than wrong, and the ones you get wrong, and hopefully the ones you spent less money on, because you never know what, you buy a player for 30 million, it's never the right amount. Some players are worth 60 and some are worth nothing. It's rarely worth around that 30 million.
I don't think any managers ever had to deal with the issues that we've had just in the right wing position alone, with Greenwood, with Antony, with Sancho. It's chaos, isn't it?
No,
you see them situations there. I know you're not going to go too deep into it, but in terms of we're seeing so much come out of the club at the moment that's negative, and it's almost like a soap opera. How do you manage something like that and bring it all back into the machine to stay in there and become that place where it's not siege mentality, but where it's a unified approach, looking approach, which is very much not at the moment.
But I think it's a difficult position, that, because if we were doing better, I think less would come out, doing better on the pitch. But I think the whole proliferation of media outlets and media coverage on football has gone through the roof, Rio. So what we had to deal with in 2013 was a lot less than you have to do today. And I generally have to look at what's happening in our own digital assets. I'm getting notifications on my thing, what's out of training today, or getting everything 2 minutes. And who's arriving at the ground for the game. You think someone interested in this, but they clearly are. So I think it's difficult, but I think it comes down to, to me, from an executive side, I would be getting my executive team together and saying, look, you've got to impress upon, the importance of confidentiality and being proper to the club, and then on the football side, the manager, presumably, and his staff trying to sort of, tell the players about that. But, players will go back, speak to their agents, and it's not necessarily the players who've spoken to the press, or their agents have spoken to another person. So I think you've got to be, without doubt, you don't see as much coming out of City or Liverpool with having a better season and things like that. We have to get back to doing better, and I think there would be less negative stories.
You said the same thing, Rio. You said you weren't an angel, you would say, but you kind of knew there was awareness. You knew when to step out, when to not step in, and obviously Sir Alex Ferguson had eyes and ears everywhere.
Yeah, you just knew as a player that there are the right times and the wrong times to go out. But we had a manager that if you did go out at the wrong time, you knew there was no hiding place. Like Mr. Gill said, it's black and white of him. You shouldn't be out. What are you doing out? Fine. And the paperwork will come from Mr. Gill.
Oh, really?
But it'd be like, it seems there maybe isn't that kind of authoritative figure there.
No, I agree. But that comes down from the dressing room and understanding and all of that. But I get a silly little anecdote, or not anecdote, example is, I'm reading about the Sir Bobby Charlton stand leaking roof. Trust me, that roof leaked when we were there, but we happened to be top of the league. So it's not mentioned in the papers or the media. It leaked. I mean, perhaps it leaks a bit more now, I don't know. But all I'm saying, so those sort of things, success, covers up a lot of issues. And I think we just got to get back to that. And I think, that whole, perhaps over the last few years, the club's been drifting. And I think this whole focus now with new ownership, or new partial ownership taking over the football side, will really hopefully galvanise everyone in the club, the fans, to say, let's get behind it. New ideas, this new appointment you mentioned of Berrada, and it is an opportunity to get back to being, a proper family club, which a lot of football clubs are, I hasten to add, with that sort of real motivation.
So Jim Ratcliffe and David Brailsford, I mean, all the fans want to know what they're like. Are they the right people? You've obviously had a little bit of time with those guys. What do you see in those that could become a group that becomes successful?
Well, I think that Dave Brailsford's doing an audit at the moment with Jean-Claude Blanc, and I don't know Dave Brailsford that much. I met him a few times, but I know Jean-Claude Blanc. He was at Juventus and then PSG, and he's an experienced executive in the football world and knows what works and what doesn't work, I think. So that's positive. And I think, Brailsford has shown, albeit in slightly different sports, that he's a winner as well. And I think he will leave no stone unturned. And seeing, for example, what's happened with this appointment, they're prepared to act quickly. It's got to get approved by the Premier League, but they're prepared to act quickly. And they understand, that we have to win. You're not guaranteed it, but we have to win and get that into everyone. And coming the latter days of Arsenal, where with Arsenal, and it was saying Champions League is acceptable. Get into the top 3 or 4 to get in the Champions League. That was deemed to be acceptable. And the old run in the cup, well, that's not good enough. I don't think it's good enough for Arsenal, in fairness, but also, for us. And we've got to get back. We've got to get, qualifying for the Champions League is.
Minimum.
Yeah, but we should be that. We should be up there challenging. You might, like Liverpool, might miss out in the league to City by a point or a goal difference, but at least you've been there right until the death. And that's what we want, isn't it? And so I think, and Jim Ratcliffe, clearly a very, very wealthy man. He's very successful business. He's now got into sport. He's obviously got a passion for certain sports, and I think he's, you have to speak to him, but clearly. Just over 70, and he wants to enjoy his money. And I think the fact he's from the area, I think again he's got to be looked at positively. There are a lot of very good people at Manchester United. I mean, it's not as if we have to get rid of all these people. There are some very good people at Manchester United. I just think they need a new direction and a new motivation and a new how should we put it, outlook, and I think we've got that. So I am positive, but the proof will be in the pudding and the eating.
Off United for a second, although it's not entirely off us.
The pressure's off now.
Is the European Super League still a threat?
No, I think personally, I think
that was quick. That was a quick answer.
No, I don't think it will, because I don't think the economics are there. What I see is that, and I've seen it a bit within UEFA, is that there was this court decision back in just before Christmas about which the Super League clubs have brought, and I think reading that, I think over time the clubs will get more control of some of the competitions they play in, i.e. at the moment. So for example, the Champions League format changes from 24-25 onwards. There's now a joint venture set up between the clubs and UEFA, and so I see it within UEFA. There's more input, so to speak, and more control and more involvement, which is probably right by the clubs. If I was at Manchester United, I'd want that on that. So I see more of that going forward. But I don't think the Super League will come around. I don't think there's much appetite as that. I'd be interested to see what all the Saudi money does, because I think that's another interesting development in the world of football, world of sport generally, but football as well. And so, but I don't see that as a threat now. But I wouldn't be complacent, by the way. I wouldn't. If I was UEFA, I'd be looking at speaking to the clubs, continue involved, and make sure we're developing the competitions. And I think this new Swiss League next year, we'll see how it works. But at least is trying to address and look at what the competition needs to do.
I was going to say Saudi a threat, but I'm going to rephrase that and just say, is there a possibility of Saudi getting a place inside UEFA?
No chance.
Again, really quick.
Yeah, no chance.
He's involved. He's in the.
I know.
Yeah,
he's at the table. He's leader of the table.
Yeah, no chance.
Has that been raised?
No, that's not. Yeah, no. I just don't think so. I think there's the economics are such, and the way it's worked out. I think that's I just can't see that happening. Now that's not to say Saudi and the money they've got, the World Cup in 34 in all probability, the money they're playing. That's would be interesting how all that develops, because it's. whilst it's not direct, you know, clearly if some players can go from earning a hell of a lot of money in the UK to there for even more money, you know, what impact that has. You know, whether the younger players will start to go, I don't know. You might get a player going at 24, 5 years at Saudi, makes a great money, and then comes back and plays in Europe. I don't know whether he can develop as much, but I think what I would say is, I don't say it that, but that's not to say I've got all the answers or know everything. But I think that, you know, the authorities, the leagues, and the FA should be discussing it and seeing what the implications are. You know, we've seen that in other sports, what they're doing.
Just lighten the mood before before Mr. Gill goes. I think we've been a bit serious, haven't we? He's gone like that at the back of the chair. No. But he's a couple of quick fire ones. Best top 3 signings where you're CEO.
Don't say Rio.
I can't Rio because
not including me.
No, the top 3 signings I would say would be Wayne in terms of what he did for the club. I would say Michael Carrick for what he brought in terms of all that, and then I would say either. Well, I can have 2. Well, there's a lot. Vidic and Evra.
I thought them 2 would have been first.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I think in terms of the importance of the club,
They've all captained
was
the club.
I think one of the most important ones was Edwin, because we struggled to replace Peter, and then we went out and got Edwin, and he was great for us for a few
Did
years.
Sir Alex have a regret about not signing him immediately after Peter Schmeichel?
Don't think so. Well, he probably did, but he wouldn't say that to me. I don't know.
I thought Edwin would have come here and be CEO.
Yeah.
Could you?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I think he certainly had that presence and things like that. Yeah. So
hardest player to work with.
Well, you know the answer, to that, don't you?
Who?
Real.
No. Gary.
Why? Why is he so difficult to work with?
Well, I don't know,
He don't stop talking.
No, he doesn't. No. All in all, they're all. Yeah, no, it's fine. I think they're all. Yeah, it's like anything, you know. The most important thing is you had individuals. They all have personality, so we're going to have issues. You know, I think I'm probably hard to deal with, but you know, they want Man United to do well. So no, I don't think. Yeah, Gary probably. Who else?
Is Daniel Levy's reputation as being difficult to work with valid?
I think he's protecting his club. So is that polite way of saying yes?
But you respect it, no?
Yeah, I respect him. I thought
that.
he's good. I liked him. And what he's done with that stadium is fantastic and things like that. But yeah, he was clearly.
No one goes Spurs and gets a deal, do they?
Yeah. No. And I think he may. You know, and I think he's. You know, he can not do himself any favours. I'll give you an example of that. You know, when we bought Dimitar, we had him all summer, and we ended up sort of, right at the death getting him, but he had no replacement. So Fraser Campbell was going on loan to Bolton, I think it was. Alex had to ring him up saying, by the way, no, you're not going on loan to Bolton, you're going to Tottenham. So my point being that, you know, Daniel probably got another 1 million or 2 out of us. I forget the figures, but I don't, but I'm not telling you. He could have got that, say, 3 weeks earlier or 2 weeks earlier, and he can then have perhaps a different replacement. Nothing against Fraser Campbell, but that was what I'm trying to say. And I'm really, to your point, I'm positive about the future. I think we can do it. Things that go in cycles, and I think we the first part of getting back up is to address the problems and understand them, and then you can start working on them. And I think we're doing that.
Well, what a way to finish. Positivity, I like that.
I love that.
I'm energised about the club now. Thanks you very much, Mr. Gill.
Pleasure.
Lovely to see you.